All right, welcome to TYT Interviews. We've got an interesting cat for you guys today, Luke Davis. Luke is a badass from Fresno who decided to get a mathematics degree from Columbia and then start an app that's going to help us get money out of politics. Damn.
Yeah, no, that's the good gist of it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm obsessed. I didn't know until Luke came on here that he's from Fresno. I'm obsessed now that he's from Fresno. Like I believe like 3% of Fresno has ever made it out of Fresno, and so that means you're a warrior.
I try. Yeah.
Have you ever been in a fight with a Hmong gang?
No, I have not. I've definitely run away from one, but yeah.
Okay, all right, good enough. I'll count it. All right, so this is not about Fresno. It's about placeavote.com. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Part of the point is to help make sure that our representatives represent us. In fact, that's almost the whole point. So that's why I'm partial to it. I don't know Luke's politics at all. I don't know if we'll get into it. I'm sure that you're trying to be nonpartisan because you want everybody to use this. But I do like the idea. So first, what is it?
So just to start off, really, it felt like there was a big gap between what our representatives were capable of doing and what they did, right? Representatives, they don't actually know what we want as constituents. It started out with one congressman per 12,000 people in their district, and now it's one per 700,000. And I think there's a weird artifact that comes out of that, which is we're not represented at all, right? It's the top 12,000 donors now, and not necessarily the top 12,000 or anyone in our district. And so I figured, how would you build something to bridge that gap? So what we've built is software where anyone can log on. We'll verify who you are. So if you can vote, we will verify your file in the voter identity. And then we publish out how you vote to blockchain. So we make sure that we stay honest. We basically use mathematics to say, hey, we cannot publish out any kind of fraudulent vote. This is how it turns out. And between these two things, what you have is someone can log on. They could say, I feel really passionate about this bill. I'm going to vote yes or no on this bill. And then it goes into the record. If everyone in the district votes on something, then the congressman knows I should vote this way.
Okay, so let me get this right. People come on there and you verify them, but then you got great tech, which allows you to make sure nobody's jimmying with the system.
That's it.
Right.
Bingo.
Exactly. Okay. And so if enough people use this, then a congressperson would know, okay, this is how my district actually feels?
That's it. The real hope is we build a good system that reaches a certain amount of critical mass where we can go to Congress and say, this is how we want to vote on issues. And there's certain issues, just kind of in recent history, I think SOPA was a big one where the internet blacked out, right? It was a few years ago, but still it was really poignant memory where I think all of us were shouting at our congressmen, don't break the internet, please. And we still had to wait with bated breath, please, are you going to pass or not pass this? And that whole system feels really ridiculous, right? If you have millions of people saying, this is how we want you to vote, we still have to wait and please hope that they represent us. That system is broken.
Yeah. So is it issue by issue on the app? So, okay, I'm Cenk, I'm in LA, I get the app, and then what do I do next? Do I go, okay, this is how I feel about guns, this is how I feel about abortion?
Yeah, when you sign up, we are going to do kind of a little bit of trying to place you where you're at. So we try to figure out you're passionate about these items. We give you 9 different items. What are you passionate about? Taxes, gun control, social issues, and you pick the ones that are important, and then we'll immediately serve you bills, actual bills in Congress. Then you can vote on these bills. So that the idea is, it's more than just an issue. It's more than just a sliding scale of this is how I feel about abortion, right? We want to make it very actionable. We don't want to just go to your congressman and say, oh, your district feels this way, and they kind of can say, well, I'll read the tea leaves on it. We want to say, no, your district wants you to vote yes on this bill. Something that cannot be, it cannot be modified in any way.
Is there a summary of the bill? Because a lot of these bills are a couple thousand pages.
Yeah, that's actually one of the more interesting points we have to work through. When you hit the site, you're going to get the full bill text, and we're trying to go through and write these summaries on everything. And it's probably one of the more taxing things we've started, but it's important for us to make sure the legislation is accessible. You know, you
Yeah,
don't need a law degree.
Because, you can't ask people to read a couple thousand pages
Right,
per
yeah.
bill. And that's why congressmen have staff, right?
Absolutely.
And they are supposed to read all that. If you think the congressmen are actually reading all the bills,
No, I know. You know, some
I've
of
got a
them.
bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. Okay. But
Yeah.
someone on their staff hopefully is. A lot of times they're not even doing it. So we get it. It's hard to put that amount of work into each one. So
Right.
you need a summary. In order to do a summary, you need a human being to do the summary.
Right.
It's hard to automate, so that creates more work for you guys.
That's it.
Plus, you got to be super neutral about how you summarize it.
Right. You know,
Right.
eventually what we want to do is build it so someone can summarize it and people can upvote and downvote summaries. So you see the summary that most people vote on. And the idea is if you have a somewhat equal amount of people hitting it, if people think that it's impartial, they're just going to downvote it. Right. And even if you make something you basically have to make a summary to be at the top that's in some way, you know, neutral so that both people can look at it and be like, all right, yeah, this is a good summary.
Right.
And you know, we feel like right now we're going to do it manually because we don't want to wait for, you know, enough people to jump on our site to do that. But we do think that in the long run, crowdsourcing a lot of these summaries is the most effective way to go about it.
I got you. And so, by the way, I don't want the media to be neutral. I want them to be objective. So that's an important distinction. But in this case, you really do have to be neutral because you've got to give people an opportunity to vote whichever side they agree with. Otherwise, it's pointless.
Yeah.
Right? If you skew it in any way, either to, like, if you're a liberal and you want them to skew it liberal, but imagine then if he was a conservative, and I don't know what Luke's politics is, okay? And if you're thinking, oh, he wants to get money out of politics, so he must be a lib. No, actually, 80% of Republicans want to get money out of politics. 80%. So I never asked you. Maybe I don't know if I'll ask you later. We'll say it's interviews. You never know what happens on TYT. But in order for me to, if I wanted to use this app and I thought you guys were skewing it one way or another, then I wouldn't really use it.
Yeah.
Because then it's not going to give you what you want out of it.
Right.
How do people feel about this? Do I want progressives to win on every issue? Sure. Right. And I think because of the polling that I've seen, I think we likely will win on a lot, if not most of the issues. But I know progressives don't win on every issue. I know that, right? If you tell me they do, then you're lying. So that's not helpful, right? So, okay. Now, how do the congressmen use it, though?
Right, so congressmen, we're in a really good space because right now when congressmen want to find out what their district wants, basically they want to know what to say to get reelected, right? They actually spend a lot of money. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. And so what we go to them and we say, okay, instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on phone-only polling, which is a certain almost age demographic that doesn't really reach all of your constituents, why don't you use this instead? So we can actually get sitting congressmen that don't necessarily want to pledge every way, but they do want good demos, like they want information on each demographic. We provide them with a far superior product and something that they can just launch up in their district. They can actually help us verify identity in each district and help us, help us kind of speed up the process a bit.
Okay, so that's the part I'm really unclear about. Okay, so what you're telling the congressman, okay, look, here's how your constituents feel about this bill and this bill. Theoretically, that could be helpful to them if they cared about their constituents, right? That part I understand. What else are you giving the congressman?
So that's really the main part of that data is just, hey, this is how each demographic in your area wants you to vote on a certain issue. And kind of the benefit of this is,
oh, I see.
If someone doesn't go to vote, their congressman isn't going to care about them anymore. And this is, right now they don't care, right? And we actually give people an incentive to go and put a congressman they care about in office. And if they don't go and vote, then they aren't going to really show up on the demographics that matter to their congressman.
Okay, so let me challenge you on how the congressmen are going to use it a little bit. Because if I know politicians, and I think I do, okay, they're going to want to take that demographic information, and then even if they're not for that bill, or for not the bill, but for how their constituents wanted to vote, you're going to think, oh, okay, 18 to 24-year-old males want me to vote against SOPA, so I have to trick them somehow. Right?
Yeah.
Now I have this information.
Right.
So how do I manipulate this to my advantage?
So I guess if you want something that's really pure, we're running a few campaigns, or technically we're not running them, we're just supporting people that are. So we have Mike Smith out in Ohio. He's actually running in Boehner's old district. It's a special election right now. And he's saying, I'm just going to run on the platform that whatever anyone in my district wants, majority vote on place of vote, I'm going to vote that way. He's essentially saying,
oh, wow.
My whole
Really?
platform is button pushing. You guys tell me which button you want me to push, and I know that the vote is fair and it's valid, and no one gets more than one vote. So I'm going to completely represent my district. I mean, it's just like it's kind of one of those no-brainer things for the House of Representatives. It's what our founding fathers would have probably done, right? It's like if we could have easily taken a majority poll for House, we would have done that, but we can't. And so now we have the tech to do it. We should. And so this guy, Mike Smith, he's all about it.
Yeah, I remember when the founding fathers said, give me an app or give me
That's
death.
exactly it. That was it. Give me an app or give me death. I remember that one.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay, that's super interesting. Well, then, since he's going to do exactly what the constituents want, if all this works out, is he running as a Republican or a Democrat?
He's actually running as a Republican because it's a majority Republican district, but it doesn't matter. We want to get people to stop thinking about parties and start thinking about bills that matter. Instead of playing the does my party win game, start playing the what issues matter to us as a country and how do we vote for them.
So he runs as a Republican, but if it turns out the app tells him to vote Democrat 70% of the time, he's going to vote Democrat.
He's actually not, he himself is not like strong party. He just runs in that way because we're also trying to run a competitive election, or he's trying to run a competitive election. And, it's
Does
really
he have a prayer?
What's that?
Does he have a prayer?
He does. Actually, it's really interesting because there's no incumbent, right? Banner stepped down. There's no real front runner. It's actually really exciting, to be honest. We're all kind of looking.
Has there been a poll yet?
No, there's no, like in small districts, they don't really do much polling. And for us, we look at it and we're thinking, okay, this is a great opportunity. And when he came to us and said, this is what we'd like to do, this is the platform, we're like, go for it. We'll support you.
His name is Mike Smith?
Mike Smith in Ohio, yeah.
It almost sounds fake.
I know, right?
Right?
I know.
Like, Mr. Smith goes to Washington.
Yes.
Mike Smith from Ohio.
We'd love to send Mr. Smith to Washington.
And he's going to vote just as the constituents tell him to vote.
That's it.
Okay, you sure this isn't a movie?
I know, right? Like it seems surreal to think that, in the special elections in a few weeks, he's running a crowdfunding campaign to try and get the word out in his district. And we think, if he's successful in 3 weeks, Ohio might make history. They might be the first district to be represented.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah.
So congratulations, you will actually be represented in Congress.
That's right. You'll be the first one to be represented.
So are people using this yet?
Yeah, we have beta release, so it's like a very finite number of people, but we're actually going to roll out to a full release probably in the next week. It's something where we're just making sure the bugs are all out, but yeah, we have some people on it. We're going through it right now. We want to make sure it's very clean. We don't want to give anyone a reason to distrust us because they log on and like a button doesn't work, right?
Yeah, sure, of course.
We have enough things against us. We're trying to make sure it's fair.
Right. So Mike Smith doesn't yet know which way he's going to vote on these bills because it has not been released to the people of Ohio yet.
Exactly.
So he's like, okay, what's my view on TPP, for example, the Trans-Pacific Partnership? I don't know.
Doesn't matter. It's whatever his district wants, right? So let's say he goes to Congress, special election, so he doesn't have to wait till the end of the year, right? He can just immediately go in. Whatever starts hitting Congress, it'll be his district will probably be the front runner. It's like what major people will look at to see, well, what does the U.S. want, or what does this person want? Because people will be able to look and say, this district actually voted not special interest.
Right. I bet you now, of course, I'm quote unquote biased here, but I'm not in this sense. Let me explain. So I bet you that if he gets elected as a Republican, almost anyone who gets elected as a Republican will actually vote with the Democrats a majority of the time. Okay, so now the reason I say that is not because, hey, I like the Democrats better, but because I see the polling in the country, right? So the polling is like protect Social Security, maybe even increase it, raise taxes on the rich, don't go into any more wars. It's almost like it's at a minimum 70% progressive, okay? Right. So it'll be interesting to see if you've got all these Republicans, like if it worked, and boy, that'd be amazing if it worked, right?
Yeah.
That are like, yeah, no, what am I going to do? And it turns out I'm a super lib. Because what it would do is it would strip away the marketing aspect, the branding aspect of Republican and Democrat.
That's it. Absolutely.
Right? Because a Republican is a brand that hey, I like Coke, I like Pepsi. I like
Sports
to stay.
team.
Right. I like to stay at home. I don't want to go to the coast with those, I'm a Republican, right?
Right.
I'm more adventurous. I'm open to change. I'm a liberal. I'm Democrat. I like my
Right.
brands. But you might be surprised, and the liberals might also be surprised that they might, or people who think they're liberals or Democrats might oftentimes vote with the Republicans, because once you strip away the brand, you might have a totally different result.
Right.
Okay, super interesting. Are you okay? I
Yeah,
got you.
no,
I got
cool.
you. It's placeofvote.com. I'm not done yet. I got
All
more
right.
questions. So, in order for enough people to use, in order for it to be effective, you got to get enough people to use it.
That's the ticket.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what do you got up your sleeve in marketing tricks?
All right. So I guess a couple of the good things we're doing right now is, of course, it helps that we run congressional campaigns. Mike is helping on that front. But we're also supporting a few here in California. And so just from that, there's a natural degree of press and things we can get from that. But really, we have a decent-sized beta list, and we really want to try and encourage people to go on and share it with friends. And I guess the biggest trick up our sleeves are we have a lot of nonprofits that really want to work with us. The call to action right now, if you're any kind of NGO, sucks. It's like go to some petition site no one cares about and everyone thinks it's fake. I get those things, I hit them, I'm like, I just kind of chuckle, right? 100,000 of these are fake. Right? We want to give people a better call to action. So one way we can kind of funnel people in is giving all these people that are trying to make some kind of substantial change a better call to action. Send your users to us. We have a validated identity, a validated ledger, and we can actually tap into Congress and say, this is what they want, not here's 100,000 fake emails that you don't trust at all. So that's one way we can kind of get people in.
Can a candidate run and be half place a vote dude? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's they probably, like, we don't really care. Like, if you want to, any degree of you wanting to use polling to figure out what your district wants is still a whole huge step better than someone that's just like, I just want to say whatever lies it takes to get into Congress and then take special interest money.
Okay.
But
and how about this issue? The people who use it are going to be a self-selected group of people who care more enough to engage in the process, et cetera. So is that might not necessarily be representative of the majority of the people in the district?
Right. So if your congressman gets voted in, it feels like the people that do go and vote will be on that site, right? Like you have at least the majority of people that go to an election to vote that will be present and actually want this. So you have at least those people showing up, which in some way is representative, but in a lot of ways is not representative. Like you had Nevada, where Sanders won a huge swath of young voters, but still lost the state, right? So demographics are tricky. Yeah, it might not be representative, but really kind of the crude thing we say is, well, then go to the site. It's completely free, right? We're actually going to make a phone system as well. So if you don't have a computer, we don't want to disenfranchise anyone. You can just call in and securely vote that way. So there really won't be too many excuses for someone not to be able to participate in a simple, meaningful way.
Yeah.
You know?
And then will you use the votes against any politicians? Here's what I mean. Not if they vote with the app, but if they vote against it. So not vote against the app has no opinion.
Right.
But so through the app you find out, and let's say it is somehow be proven that it's a representative sample.
Right.
So this random congressman in Arizona, in his district, even though the app says 78% of his constituents want him to vote one way and he voted against them, will you run a campaign saying, this guy didn't place a vote in the right way?
So I guess the best way I can answer that is any sitting congressman that likes to work with us, we'd like to work with them. If we reach out to a congressional office and they're like, we don't want polling, we don't want this system, we will absolutely use the data to make sure someone else is in that district and represents their constituents.
Damn, this dude's playing hardball. You know why? He's from Fresno. Okay, that's interesting. Call me when you do that, because I'd be very curious as to what their response is.
Yeah, like I said, right now we do have relationships with people in Congress. So it's not going to be like an us versus them. If someone is in Congress and they do want better information about how their district wants them to vote, call us, right? But if you don't want to do this, if you don't want to roll it out, then you're kind of on your own. And we definitely want to make sure that your constituents are represented.
All right, one more thing, Luke. It says here that you got 70 congressional candidates running in 2016 across the United States on their platform. What does that mean?
That means last year, so in 2014, we actually, the whole thing was started kind of on a lark. I called a couple of friends. I said, hey, do you want to run for Congress? And they're like, we won't even get on the ballot. So we did, and we got on the ballot, and of course we didn't win. It was like we actually showed up on the ballot. We're like, oh my God, it's there. And because we were told by a lot of people.
For people who don't know?
There's this whole windowing process you have to go through in California, at least, where you show up at a certain time, you fill out X paperwork, then you come back 2 weeks later, you fill out some more paperwork. It's I don't want to say deliberately obfuscated, but it is.
So it's like kind of like the bar. The bar doesn't actually test anything that you're actually going to do in your legal career. It just tests whether you're patient enough to go through this pain in the ass.
That's it.
Right. If you're willing to go through this tedious process, you can be a lawyer.
Right.
Right. So okay.
So
do you have to get signatures? Or?
Yeah, you have to get signatures, and then you have to write certain amounts. Like in California, it's 3,000 signatures or $1,700. So like you are balancing the difference between the two. And unfortunately, the state of our democracy is if you go and ask someone like, hey, do you sign this to get someone to Congress? Like they're not going to care. They're not going to read it. And so I think a lot of congressional campaigns, they'll pick money over votes.
Wait, $1,700?
Yeah, it's $1,700 in California. Which by itself is very strange to think.
So then I don't need any signatures if I just get 1,700 signatures?
No, you need 50 actually. You'd need 50 initially. It's a very weird process.
That's so funny.
You need at least 50.
You want to talk about money in politics, and California is one of the more liberal states, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I get 50 like dudes at my super PAC to sign something.
That's it.
And I just give $1,700. All of a sudden I'm on the ballot.
That's it. Bingo. And in some ways that's too much work, right? And in other ways it's not enough, right? So hey, that's a really small requirement. At the same time, I know someone that might be excellent to represent his district, but he doesn't have the time or the money to go get 3,000 signatures or pay $1,700.
Right. I feel like the 3,000 signatures is much better because at least it takes the money out of the equation and shows that you have some support.
Right. No, that's true. Like there is a free alternative.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys got on the ballot. What happened? You got your ass kicked?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, we got on the ballot and we're just like laughing. We're like, oh, maybe we should start a campaign. We're just joking. We're like, no, what we'll do is we'll think about this now, right? So one thing we did was we went through and we did something on Reddit. We did an AMA and we got a whole bunch of people that said, I want to run in my district. And so we're going through trying to like vet people and help them out. And there's all these election laws, so we're not actually running these campaigns, so we have to be an arm's length from all these people. But the 70 number literally comes from 70 people telling us, I want to run in my district, and they're going through the process, and we help them as much as we can without trying to break any. We're not the Koch brothers, so we aren't allowed to violate too many laws. Yeah.
Okay, not too many, just a couple.
Just a few.
Okay,
yeah.
so the 70 guys say we will do like Mike Smith does to some degree.
It's just like the Mike Smith. It's just not to some degree. It is the full thing. Yeah.
How'd you find 70 dudes across the country?
It was one of those things when we were on Reddit. I think everyone thought, hey, this is obvious. And when they asked us, we were like, no, we agree. This is obvious. We're not geniuses. Right? This is how representation should work. And I think that kind of feedback where we're both like, it's obvious. They're like, well, then I'll do it. Okay, cool. Then let's help out. Okay. And so out of those people, we think a few of them have a good shot. Mike has a pretty good shot out in Ohio, but California, the windowing period stops in the next couple of weeks, so we'll know who's actually on the ballot. And my whole background's like math and data, so we'll figure out, which one of these people have a good shot, and wish them the best. Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. Okay, and I've decided I'm not going to ask you what your politics is.
All right.
Okay, so and I secretly believe you're a Republican. Okay.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Why do you think that is?
Okay, I'll tell you why. Because you worked in the Valley, and everybody and people who work in the Valley are generally not necessarily that people who are wealthy. You're 28, so I have no idea if you're wealthy or not. But everybody else you work with is wealthy, so that you grow up or you live in an atmosphere where, like, yeah, of course we should pay higher taxes. Come on, don't be ridiculous, right? I don't know. I have no idea, and I don't want to know. Now it's like a nice little mystery, okay? And by the way, if you're a Republican and you think, well, no, I don't know about this. No, because most Republicans are super confident that the country's set on right and that they're going to win on the issues.
Right.
Great, this is your opportunity. If you think you've got the American people on your side, let's find out. Like, you know what we're trying to do? We're trying to find a back door, both you and I, in different ways, right? Because we do Wolfpack, we want to get money out of politics.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah. But we're trying to find a back door to let democracy back in.
That's it.
Right? So it's a worthy effort. It's really interesting. I want to see how it goes. Placeavote.com. Luke Davis, thanks for joining us,
very
man. I
much.
appreciate
Yeah.
it, man.